down to item number 5, our administrative reports, and 5.1 from our CAO. He's going to discuss Canada Day. Mr. CAO, go ahead.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, Mark.
So we are approximately 50 days from July 1st, Canada Day celebrations. With the impacts of COVID-19 and the associated restrictions, we should give consideration to whether or not the Canada Day celebrations will happen in 2020. As you are likely aware of, that many communities are canceling Canada Day. But if it does happen, how would that look? So in what form, if we were going to attempt to have a Canada Day celebration? I mean, so much can happen between now and then. We've ordered fireworks, but if they're not used this year, we can have them properly stored. We've made arrangements for that, for future use. Perhaps fireworks can occur later this year, or for Canada Day in 2021. So we require a minimum of 30 days to plan and organize the event. And so I'd like to open it up to council for discussion consideration.
Does any council member have any questions or discussion regarding Canada Day? Councilor Hager, go ahead.
Yes. I'm just taking as a cue, the Ministry of Education just put out a notice saying that they are recommending that school boards look at, like locally, whether or not they can still have celebratory happening, like graduation and prom, et cetera, or maybe moving them. So I sort of think, I like what you're saying, Mark, is that maybe let's wait a bit. Like, why don't we have some ideas if we've got the fireworks ordered? You know, let's see, because we could do that. But where I would say we might have to watch is like, maybe we can't have cookies and cake, but I still think it might be good, you know, if we can socially or physically distance in the park, that might be interesting.
Right, and we'll have to monitor too the provincial government and what they're saying in regards to social distancing, gathering of crowds, whatever that may look like. But I definitely agree. I think if we purchase them, as the CAO has alluded to the fact already, we don't have to cancel it as of yet. We can monitor and see what's happening, because if there are changes that come through, then we can still have a celebration of Canada Day, but it may look very different depending on what the government is telling us. Any further questions or discussion? Councillor Butterfield?
So really, they're saying that we're not allowing crowds. So would we want to actually put ourselves in that predicament of having a crowd?
Well, and that's what we're saying. We're going to have to monitor to see what's coming forward. If the provincial government says that we can have large crowds gathering or only certain numbers, then we'll have to look at it. But as of right now, where it stands today, we wouldn't be able to celebrate Canada Day. But since we bought the fireworks already, and instead of canceling it today, we can monitor as the situation becomes closer. And if we do have to cancel it, we already have to purchase fireworks that we can use in the year of 2021.
Yeah. Do we have sorry, Jamie, do we have a place of storage for them if we wind up holding them off to 2021?
We do. The CAO has stated that we do have a secure place to keep them for that length of time.
Okay.
So we
Sorry.
don't have any concern. We don't have any concern with the storage piece of it if we have to.
Good.
Councillor Christoph?
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards what Janet was saying as well, that let's just wait. We don't have to plan anything big this year, even if it's just the fireworks as a last minute thing. But I think we should wait until pretty close to the last minute to cancel it, because that's a pretty big thing. And with everything that has gone on, it would be kind of nice to to be able to do something like that. So I think it would be good to wait it out a little bit.
For sure. And if I'm hearing council's direction, we can definitely move in that manner and monitor it as we get closer.
Yeah.
That's okay with everyone then? So we'll
Yeah.
move forward?
So just so I'm clear, we will wait. We understand it will look differently this year. But we'll wait and see that perhaps there could be that fireworks component.
Correct. Okay.
I
and-
guess that'll, sorry, but I was gonna say, I guess we'll have to wait and see about the fire ban as well too, right? So,
Correct. There's all sorts of provincial regulations right now, not only the fire ban, but the social distancing, the large gathering of crowds and public places, because our parks still remain closed and everything. So we have to wait and see what's going to happen in the next month and a half or so.
Okay.
Okay, moving on down then to 5.1B is the ferry operations and our CAO once again, Mr. CAO.
Okay, thank you. So in consultation with health authorities, Transport Canada, our staff, and the Ontario Ministry of Labor, Training and Skills Development, we've developed and will be implementing the following measures for the Miss Mackenzie 2 ferry for this year. And just keep in mind, we need a new suppression system that has been ordered. All indications are that it will be installed early to mid next week. Following that will be the Transport Canada annual inspection. So the earliest the ferry would be operating would be May 22nd. So the following measures that will be implemented will be only 3 passengers permitted on the ferry at one time. And then in addition, will be the ferry operator and the boat monitor. So no more than 5 people on the ferry at one time. Markers will be installed showing where passengers can sit, stand, to ensure there's the 6 feet physical distancing. Ferry passes will be monthly and annual, can be purchased on the ferry. That'll be a point of sale. Payments can be made by debit and credit card, and we are just discouraging any cash payments. In fact, we will not be accepting any cash. All touch surfaces are to be sanitized after every trip by the boat monitor using appropriate PPE, disinfectant spray, paper towels, and various sizes of disposable gloves will be made available for this purpose. Also, for the ferry operator, the boat monitor will have hand sanitizer. There'll be a transparent curtain that will be installed from the floor to the ceiling across the cabin behind the ferry captain to ensure he or she is not at risk of being unknowingly coughed or sneezed upon while driving. So there will be that precaution similar to what we see in many of our stores, but it cannot be something that's fixed. Do not come to work if you're feeling any symptoms. Anybody that there'll be a screening process and signage that will be placed prior to anyone getting on the ferry, and anyone that's sick or showing any type of symptoms will be denied getting on the ferry. And that is it. Do you have any questions?
Any questions from council? Councilor Butterfield, go ahead.
So considering that we're not having as many people on board as the boat can handle, do we still require a monitor?
We do, as per Transport Canada regulations.
Councillor Hager?
Oh, okay, I have two questions though. So the first one is just with regards to, would we be making more frequent trips? Because if you can only take 3 passengers on one trip, like that would sort of, would a family group even be able to go over?
No, we will keep to our regular schedule.
Okay, so my second question is the screening process. So who's actually doing that? Is that the monitor's job or?
Be a monitor, correct.
The boat monitor, correct.
Okay, and we'll be like just asking questions, or will they be taking a temperature or?
They'll be asking questions. We're still in the process of trying to find a temperature. But there'll be a series of questions that the boat monitor will ask each patron.
Councillor Perdue, you had a question?
Well, I think I was behind Councillor Christoph, but I
No,
can
go
go now. Just to follow up on what Janet said, a family of 4. Would we let all 4 of them on at once and just shut it down with that family? As they would probably be in the middle of the boat and there would still be distancing, correct?
We're respecting the number of 5. So if a family of 4 came on, then we have 6 people on the vessel.
So what are other transits doing? Like buses and subways, I'm sure they're not restricting everything to 5. I'm just wondering if that's kind of a little bit overkill. If there's a family of 4, we just take that family of 4 and call it at that.
I am not aware what the subways are doing, but also the subways, buses are all much larger than our ferry is.
So we're going with the numbers that have been presented to us from the government of groups of 5, and we have to respect the 5, meaning 2 are already employees, so we're only allowed for 3 patrons. So if a family needs to split up to make a trip, then we have to do what we have to do. We have no jurisdiction to change the numbers otherwise, unless we get special permission. I don't know if we can even get special permission from Transport Canada, because it's provincially run as well too, with the numbers.
And we're also encouraging people, neighbors helping neighbors and encouraging people to use their own personal vessels as we go through this.
And this could potentially change when the declaration of emergency is over in the next few weeks as well too, in regards to groups of numbers. But this is what the numbers are telling us, that we have to go forward with the ferry potentially opening on May 22nd. And if we're anticipating another declaration of emergency till May 31st or the beginning of June, then we have to respect that number of 5, and it'd be hard for us to change that at this time. But I understand what you're saying, Councillor Paduch. If there's a family of 4 and they're all coming from the same household, they should be able to travel together. But the problem is the number of 5.
So, but in that, if folks are coming across to go to the grocery store, in the way I understand it, that family of 4 won't be going into the grocery store together. Unless that has changed, but I don't believe it has. And a family of 4 is not going to enter hardware store together as things are today. But again, as the mayor stated, things, this is a moving target and things could change. But as we've consulted with Transport Canada and other health authorities, that this was the direction that was needed to be taken at this time.
So we have to comply with that as of right now. But again, it is a moving target. And we'll assess it every day as information continues to come up, for sure. Councillor Christoph, you had a question?
Yeah, it was along the lines of Councillor Dukes. I was just wondering if, was that a mandated thing there that the government's saying you have to do this? Or is that we're just saying that, oh, we recommend you do this, so we're going to do that?
This is what's being directed by Transport Canada at this time. I'll also note that the union recommended this as well for the protection of the 2 employees on the vessel.
Can I ask one? So when I was this week at the liquor store, and the manager was wearing like, I guess, some kind of a visor, which allowed him to have movement, so he could interact with customers. So, and I'm just wondering if that's an option. Could we look into something like that rather than trying to, put up a whole curtain? Maybe they could just have a visor of some sort that would give them more mobility.
I think part of the curtain, and I'll get the CAO to explain it if I'm wrong, was protection from a patron coughing, sneezing onto one of the employees, that curtain piece of it.
Correct.
So that being said, then we would have to give everyone a visor type of mask then to wear, if I'm hearing you correctly.
No, I'm testing just for the monitor and the captain.
So the PPE part is masks?
We don't have access to masks at this time, but we can certainly look into that.
We can definitely look into it.
Good.
Any further questions? Councillor Baydun?
Yeah, this suppression thing, did this just come up, or did we know that it was it needed to be replaced?
The parts were ordered. I couldn't give you exact dates. They're coming from a province, and we just got word today that they were coming in on 14th. Actually, they'll be shipped from out of province on May 14th, arriving here. So I couldn't give you exact dates when they're, when we were aware of the suppression matter.
Anything else, Councillor Baydun?
Yeah, and then just the inspection from Transport Canada, do we have to wait for them to come up, or do we have to request, or do they just come up a certain time every year?
So no, well, they're aware of. They slated a time. Again, no one can predict when the ice is going out, but we have an idea within a week or two, generally. So we keep them informed of where we're at and the conditions, ice conditions, and then and they say once your ferry is ready, then we'll schedule you in for an inspection. But the boat, Councillor Baydun, the boat has to physically be in the water for them to inspect it.
And once it's ready, then they'll schedule an appointment, if you use that term, to come out and assess it. But it has to be ready and in the water.
Yeah, I'm just asking because I don't remember this last year, or not either that, or I didn't mark it down. Probably ask the same question.
No, we go through this process with the inspection every year.
Transport Canada has to inspect it every year.
Right.
Yeah, as the treasurer has noted, I mean, circumstances are different, and this isn't normally we bring to council to discuss when when Transport Canada is coming in to inspect. We normally send out a communication saying, boat is in the water, Transport Canada is inspecting, boat should be operational at this time.
But with all the different extenuating circumstances this year surrounding COVID-19, this is why we brought it forward. Any further questions? Okay, seeing none, we will move down to 5.1C. Community Development and Communications Manager Staff Report number CDC-20-01, read the communications policy. Mr. Piero.
So before you and for your consideration is the municipal communication policy. Purpose of this policy is to properly document communication practices. Update the policies and amalgamate all policies into one policy. Since the development of policies 1.7 and 2.2, communication in general, as we all know, has changed greatly. Today, there's much more emphasis on social media platforms. So when communicating to our residents, however, we make every attempt possible to ensure we are reaching everyone. And that means at times we've done door to door when there's been a water break, our newsletter, etc. So we make every attempt possible. So because not everyone is on social media, so we look at other means to hit those residents. We recognize the importance to effectively communicate municipal information in a timely and consistent manner to our residents, businesses, employees, and other stakeholder groups. This policy clearly outlines our roles and responsibilities, so this internally and externally. We are committed to all communications, and they will be consistent, well-informed, timely, appropriate, and positive. And they will comply with our brand identity as described in our municipal visibility, our visual identity guide. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions from council? Okay, seeing none.
Oh,
Move
I
by
got-
Councillor Baduch. Yes, Councillor Baduch.
are we gonna look at advertising on our website?
Advertising on our website.
No, anything on our website, I mean, there's a criteria, so we can't advertise, a barbecue rib fest that someone's putting on. We need to keep it to municipal business, and right now we're sending out a lot of information as it pertains to COVID-19.
Okay, and so there's nothing to do with actually trying to solicit advertising.
Absolutely not.
Correct.
Okay,
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Moved by Councillor Baduch, seconded by Councillor Butterfield. Resolved that the Committee of the Whole hereby recommends to Council acceptance of staff report number CDC 2020-01, Community Development and Communications Manager regarding the communications policy. All in favor? Carried. And I would ask council, because we're getting feedback here, if council could mute their buttons, because we're getting different feedback coming from different councilors here. And when you would like to speak, just raise your hand and unmute yourself, please. Okay, 5.3, we have nothing from the treasurer. We're going to move down to item number 6.
We skipped
Oh,
one.
sorry, pardon me, I skipped one. It's 5.2, sorry. From the clerk, bylaw and health and safety officer report number BL 20-08, working around the water policy. And I will turn it over to the clerk, and our bylaw officer is also online to answer any questions that we may have.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
So in the Occupational Health and Safety Act, there are regulations which stipulate rules by working around water and use of ladders around water. In our case, this comes into play while installing and removing docks annually in Koshner and at the Red Lake Government Dock turnaround. By creating a policy regarding working around water, we are creating a heightened awareness of the safety precautions that employees must take while installing and removing docks annually and other work performed around water. This policy was developed in consultation with the Infrastructure Development Coordinator and Recreation and Facilities Supervisor, whose departments are most likely to perform this type of work. Many of the sections of the proposed policy are verbatim from the Ontario Health and Safety Act, and are referenced in the policy as such. Justine Rytek, our bylaw enforcement health and safety officer, is present to answer any questions that you may have.
Does council have any questions? Okay. Seeing none. Moved by Councillor Hager, seconded by Councillor Christoph, resolved that the Committee of the Whole hereby recommends to Council acceptance of staff report number BL 2020-08 bylaw department regarding a working around water policy. All in favor? Carried. And there is 5.3, there's no report from the treasurer, so we're going to slide down to referred and deferred items, which is item 6.1. Snow machine muffler and Jake brake noise follow-up from our April 14th, 2020 Committee of the Whole meeting. So during our Committee of the Whole meeting, there was a recommendation that we put a sign coming into Red Lake on Highway 105. Staff has put together some noise bylaw comparisons from different municipalities and townships. So this is out for council's consideration if there's any further discussion, or do we need to move forward from putting the sign out that we had a discussion with last time? And since Councillor Christoph brought this to the Committee of the Whole, I'll go to Councillor Christoph to see any comments from you.
Okay, so yes, I did like how Dryden, kind of like how they had for the Jake breaks I'm talking just now, just saying how just not within town limits on any highways, because it says it can't be on any highways within the city. Style break on any highway under the jurisdiction of the corporation, the city of Dryden. So I kind of like that. It just kind of says it doesn't matter if you're on the highway or not. If you're within city limits, you're not to use the Jake breaks. They're all really similar. They all have something along those lines. And for the snowmobile, actually, ours is actually pretty good. I don't think we need to change that, but because it does refer to the mufflers and that. So.
Right, and we referred to that back at the Committee of the Whole before when that was brought forward with that concern that we do have that bylaw in place.
Yeah.
So in regards to the Jake breaks, are you making a recommendation for something or a suggestion?
I would like to see a sign, and I would almost like to how they have it set out in all of these policies, just something set out saying, hey, if you're within a municipality, kind of like how all of these places did, actually have something in writing.
Any other councillor? Councillor Hager?
Well, is this with regards to the sign? Because I do agree with what Councillor Christoph is saying with regards to the sign. And then the only other comment I was going to make was with regards to our snow, like the sledding. I agree that we do have a good policy in place with our bylaw. Probably what we need to do maybe is more education then.
For sure, for sure. So if I'm hearing you correctly, Councillor Hager, and please correct me if I'm wrong, are you saying you're okay with just the sign that was recommended last time? Or are you looking for?
I think what I'm saying is what Councillor Christoph just said was that maybe we have to also have some wording.
Okay. So Councillor Christoph, are you asking for some wording because we have nothing defined specifically for Jake breaks? Are you suggesting we look at something similar to the way Dryden has written theirs to adopt something in that line?
Yes, that's what I'm recommending, that we actually put something down in writing.
So realizing though 105 and the 618 are highways though, correct? So
Yeah, that's right.
It'd have to be something for in town.
It's within town limits.
Okay. Councillor Baduch, go ahead.
Just following up with what he had said about Dryden, says their set fine is any person who contravenes any provision in this article is guilty of an offense, is liable to a penalty provided in the Provincial Offences Act. So my impression of that is that that would be OPP enforced.
Well, the OPP does do the policing in our community, but we can't supersede the highways, the provincial highways, meaning Highway 105 and 618, but we can look after our own roadways within the municipality.
This
No.
Dryden says on the highway and within town limits, we could do the exact same thing.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Justine, but that wording, because there's no set fine, that means it's an automatic, you go to court. You would actually have to create set fines.
Correct. And if I can just add something in here, just because I do bylaw for Ear Falls as well. I don't know if it was stated, but Ear Falls is actually looking at taking their Jake breaks out of their bylaw. They do get complaints for it, but a lot of them are on the 105. And so they can't really do anything with that, which is why they want to take it out. So I don't know if a lot of the complaints, or if there is complaints here that come from the 105, I would assume it would be the same thing, because their bylaw says within any highway within the township of Ear Falls. So personally, that kind of sounds like the same as Dryden, and I don't know how that would play over if it's on a highway here. It's kind of the MTO, I think, that deals with that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have jurisdiction over the 105 or the 618 because they're provincial highways.
Yeah, that would be my only concern, even though it is within the town limits. If it is on that road, I don't think I would be able to enforce that.
Okay, so that being said, is council asking for something to occur within our municipal boundaries, excluding the highways 105 and 618 and the 125, I suppose? Is that what council's asking for? Because last time we had this discussion, we wanted a sign. So we're moving forward with a sign. So now I'm asking what council would like to do with this request.
So, sorry, I'll go. I would like to see going forward, let's put up the sign and see how it goes. And then if there are more complaints and if there's issues, then we can take it a step further. But if our bylaw officer thinks that it's a difficult one, there's no sense making things difficult. And if I don't want to do things that are going to make life more difficult, but if we just go with the sign, I guess, for now, and then see how it goes.
So would all of council be in favor of just a sign and then monitoring and bringing it back if there's further complaints? Can I see a show of hands if that's what you're thinking? Okay. So we will move forward with the sign. We will hold off on that bylaw. We'll monitor, but if it does become problematic, we'll bring it back and look at a bylaw to move forward with that. Okay. So it's done. Okay, so moved by Councillor Butterfield, seconded by Councillor Christoph. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Red Lake and the Committee of the Whole hereby adjourns to meet again at the call of the chair. All in favor? Carried. Thank you for attending the meeting. We will talk very soon.